Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for today's Career Connection. We are going to give it a bit of one more minute or so just to have everybody sign in before we get started. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Just give it a couple more seconds and then we'll go ahead and get started for today. All right, perfect. So good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for today's Career Connection webinar. My name is Neverly. I'll be your host for today. We're very excited to be presenting CareerEdge Fast Tracking training. Today we have our guest speaker, Kevin Glumbeck with CareerEdge Manager. And then we're going to follow up with Q&A. And then towards the end, it's going to be wrap up and survey. Now, we do want to hear from you. So you can use your Q&A box located at the bottom of your screen to ask any questions throughout the presentation. We are going to make an effort to answer as we move along through this presentation. Towards the end, if you'll just all stay signed on, there will be a quick survey. We do use these surveys to help us to better our programming in the future. So to start off, I'll just talk a little bit about the Women's Resource Center and what we have for today. So the Women's Resource Center has been empowering women throughout the county since 1979. We do have 3 locations across the county, one in Bradenton, one in Sarasota, as well as another in Venice. We have served over 9,000 hours yearly, and we deliver about 7,000 hours programmatic. So our goal here at the Women's Resource Center is to engage, educate, and enrich and empower women of all generation. We're a place where women can call if they're not sure where to turn to. And to do so, we offer our clients resource advising, mental health counseling, group and educational programs, career service, as well as educational workshop programs and scholarships. We also offer legal and financial consultation and education, all of which are offered at a low cost or free to our clients. Now, since this webinar is about careers, I'll take a little time to talk about our career services here at the Women's Resource Center. Our career coach program offers individual assistance with preparing for a successful job search. This includes career discovery, resume preparation, interviewing skills, networking techniques, and so much more. Our digital navigating program is a one-on-one computer tutoring program, which includes computer basics, Microsoft Office applications. It also helps with navigating the online job search as well as uploading resumes. In addition, we do have 3 career closets, one at each of our location, offering free clothing and accessories to women who either have just obtained a job interview or who have just secured a job and are in need of a work attire. Now, our career closets also serve women who are in need for clothing for any reasons throughout their life. So again, we do want to hear from you. So please feel free to use your Q&A box located at the bottom of your screen. Now, this is a webinar, so all lines are muted. There aren't any videos. If you do have a question, please use the Q&A box. As a reminder, our career connections are recorded, so you can watch the replay just in case if you miss any information. We'll also send a replay via email within 48 hours to everyone who registered, including any materials covered by the presenter for today as well. As I mentioned, at the end of the webinar, you will see a survey that will appear at the end of your screen. So we do ask that you stay on for a minute after the webinar has ended to answer those surveys. We do use this to help us with future programming. So I'll go ahead and stop screen share, and I'm going to turn it over to Kevin.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kevin Glumbeck. I am the CareerEdge Program Manager here at the Greater Sarasota Chamber of Commerce. CareerEdge is a great program that the Chamber offers, and I'll talk a little bit about that if you've never heard of it. It is a funders collaborative. So we actually apply for grants, and we seek out grant funding, and we take that grant funding, we turn it around, and we give it back to the community. And we do that in a variety of ways through our businesses. We provide funding for businesses as well as for individuals. And so I'm under the impression that most of you are individuals most interested in that, and so I'm going to tailor my kind of overview to that aspect of our program and our funding, but just know that we do have other funding and things available as well. Before I get started, a little bit about me. My background is in education. I was a public school teacher for 10 years, locally here for about 8 at some of the local middle schools, as well as a basketball coach. So if I look familiar, it might be because you saw me at one of those school functions. But if not, that's okay too. So here's a little bit of what we're going to be talking about today. So what is CareerEdge? We basically provide workforce solutions for people and businesses. I'm going to spend a majority of the time talking about our Fast Track program. So we have 2 certified nursing assistance programs that I'd like to talk to you about that are going to be available in 2025. And then also in 2025, we're going to have an HVAC and plumbing Fast Track. So really 3 different options. It kind of depends on what type of person you are, what you're most interested in. I'm going to share some job placement assistance and career preparation information with you that we also provide through our Bridges to Careers program, and then talk to you a little bit about some job opportunities locally. So I did a kind of a deep dive on some of the local data for Sarasota and Manatee County. What are the wage ranges for these occupations? What's the career progression? And provide you some of that industry data, because I think as you're making your choices, I think it's really important that you are informed about, what are the outcomes here. If you're going to put in the time, money, energy to be going through these programs, what can you see, and make sure that that vision is, turns into a reality for you. So before we get started, I do also want to thank our funders. So CareerEdge is, so thankful for all of these organizations. They contribute to our programs, and they see value in what we do to spur the economy, to help businesses and help people get to where they want to be. So thank you to all of our CareerEdge funders. Our targeted industries. So it's important to note that CareerEdge only programs in certain industries, and these are based on data and information of kind of projections and forecasts for our local area, and where there's going to be skills gaps, where there's going to be wages that are, self-sustaining. And so we are in manufacturing, healthcare, skills trades, and transportation for 2025. You'll see that the star next to the Bridges to Careers program, that's what I'm going to focus on today. But we also have upskilling grants. So any of the businesses that you see in any of our kind of publications, those are businesses that apply for grant funding. They are training from within. They believe in that model. And so if you see those, I encourage you to look for those employers. They receive grant funding for us to train their workforce. We also do internship, on-the-job training, and apprenticeship training reimbursements. So again, that goes to the businesses to really incentivize those best practices. Internships and experiential learning, those are, they hit everything on the box of what makes a good training program, what's sustainable, what's good for individuals, and help them on their career progression. And then we also offer leadership training, and you can apply for that and go through our leadership training. And we offer that kind of 3 times throughout the year in our select industries only. But enough about everything else. Let's focus on the Bridges to Careers, because that's what I think everyone here is most interested in. So our Fast Track programs, they are tuition free. We take that grant funding that we've applied for, and then we basically, they're like scholarship opportunities, and they're fast tracks. So you're learning a lot of material in a short amount of time, and they always have some type of credential attached to it. And so we'll go through some of those examples. Past courses have included manufacturing, outboard motor, automotive lube technicians, HVAC, certified nursing assistants. Most recently, at the beginning of this year, we finished up a construction electrical fast track for those individuals looking to become an electrician. And you can see all of the, we've even done CDL training for individuals who are looking to go and get their, CDL and become a truck driver. So you can see those are our education providers there, anything in the local area. And, we're always looking for more education partners and trying to build these programs out. And a lot of them are, first-time programs or second-time programs, and we find something that works, and then we keep going with it. You can see a couple of pictures here. We've got this is a picture of one of our fast tracks from earlier this year. So that's with American Vocational Academy for HVAC technicians. And then this is our one of our CNA cohorts through STC. That was last year's cohort. So I'll spend a good bit of time on this slide here. our Bridges to Careers Fast Tracks training programs for certified nursing assistants. We have 2 education providers that we're working with for 2025. I'm going to start with Meridian West Central College. Their campus is located just north of the airport. And we had a program start with them, what was it, August of this year, and they're finishing up now. They got a little bit delayed with the hurricane. It's a very interesting model, and I'm excited to let you know that we're going to be starting another program in late January, early February. So the recruiting and kind of application process will be open in December and January. So you'll want to be, and I'll talk about the application process and what that looks like in the next slide. But it's a 10-week program. It's a hybrid model for learning purposes. So it is, there's both an AM and PM option. This most recent cohort, it was from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. is the morning class, and then 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. for the afternoon class. Students were meeting online Monday through Wednesday, so for online learning. And so everyone kind of logs into a Zoom or GoToMeeting or whatever they use, and you're with your instructor, going over materials, going over assignments, discussing, really you're trying to reinforce the learning. And then on Thursday, this is why it's a hybrid model, you would go to campus for 1 day of learning. And that's where it's really about the experience. You're meeting with your colleagues and your cohort, your other students and peers, and you're practicing those hands-on skills. So to be a certified nursing assistant, you've got to be able to help individuals in their time of need. They're needing some care for themselves. And so you've really got to practice those skills in person. And they have great facility to do that. They've got those mannequins that very lifelike. And so that is the hybrid model for the Meridian West Central College. You will be prepared in practice, and they will help you apply for the licensure test. There's a licensure test that you've got to take through the state through an organization called ProMetrics. They help you sign up for that. And then because there's sort of a bottleneck there, it takes a little while for you to get your test. But once you get your test, then you're set, you're ready to go, and you are a certified nursing assistant. So that is our first offering. And then we're looking at I'm going to bounce over here to Suncoast Technical, a late April, early May program with Suncoast Technical College. This one's a little bit different. The recruiting for that program is in March and April, and it's a 6-week program, but it's all in person. It's all on campus at Suncoast Technical, and they meet Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2:30. So it's definitely condensed down into a shorter amount of time, but it's a little bit further on the horizon in the fact that it starts in March, April to get through that process. But again, you'll be prepared for that ProMetrics test and that state exam by the end of it. And the instructor there is phenomenal. Instructor at Meridian is phenomenal as well. They just really care about the individuals going through their programs. They've got a history of success. Can't say enough about both of those programs. You're probably wondering what's Dwyer Workforce Development. It's right in the middle of this slide here. So that is a third-party organization. They're a national organization out of Baltimore. And we've partied with them and partnered with them to bring them into the programs that we've established as an extra funder. So they help fund our programs. They contribute to tuition costs for everybody who goes through our programs. They help with events like graduation, kind of halfway celebrations, the costs, the startup costs. So if you want to be a CNA, there are some startup costs involved. And, CareerEdge can't always afford to fund that for everyone. So Dwyer can, and they help us with that. So things like vaccinations, things like background checks, drug screenings, all of the startup costs that are associated. If you are in need of that, the Dwyer Workforce Development Group will help you with that. Additionally, once you sign up with them through our program, they can also provide wraparound services. Now, this goes for both of the programs, either one, if you decide that you're interested in this. That includes things like transportation. So, I've got an individual who is in our training program, and in fact, I believe she might have even been referred by the Women's Resource Center, but she lives down in Northport, and so she needs some assistance with travel. And so on those Thursdays when she goes to Meridian up by the airport, that's a long haul. It takes her like an hour to get there. Well, she's not driving her own car. She's got a Lyft ticket. So Dwyer pays for the Lyft or the Uber for her to get up from Northport to go to that. And so really break down those financial barriers, transportation barriers. If you need childcare assistance, they can work with you on that. Another individual in our program, their car broke down, so they're working with Dwyer to help, get that car repair. It's almost like an insurance policy. It's like a kind of a parachute. You never know when you're going to need it. You never know when you drive over a tire, you get a flat tire, and you can't get there on time. Well, that all those little costs add up, and Dwyer's there to help. We're so thankful for their partnership. They're in Texas, they're in Baltimore, and they're growing in Florida, and they want to continue to grow in Florida. And they've been a great partner, like I said. The other addition and kind of great thing about Dwyer is that if you decide this is your career path and you are a CNA for a year, they will then help you with continued training and education costs. So you become a CNA through one of our programs. They've helped you along the way. After you graduate, you work for a year, you realize you want to continue in this career path, you want to be an LPN or an RN, you don't stop there. Whatever you want to do, there's lots of different areas you can go into, and CNA kind of just opens the door to all of them. They will help you with funding for the additional training you need only after a year. But don't only hear that, because they do help along the way, and they help at the beginning as well, but they also help as you finish the program and move on. Any questions on our CNA program? I know I'm talking fast and going through a lot of information.
Just a reminder, if you guys do have questions, use that Q&A box located at the bottom of your screen.
One of the things that I've started to say through these programs is that for a CNA, and for all of our programs, you really need to embrace the learning, because you can learn from anybody at any moment. And I really look for those types of individuals when I'm going through the selection process. Who's out there, who wants to learn, who loves to learn, who's always learning and has that motivation, because that's what I'm looking for, because you're always going to be learning. In any interaction you have with anyone, you can learn something from that. I also tell our CNAs to prioritize compassion, because you're working with individuals when they are at their most vulnerable. They're needing you to help them clean themselves or change themselves or get around, or, those basic life skills. And so really prioritize that compassion. And the other thing I always tell our CNAs is that self-care matters. You can't take care of others if you haven't taken care of yourself. And so everyone gets burned out. You're giving it your all every day. So take the time, treat yourself, do what you got to do, recharge your batteries, and get ready. So definitely take care of yourself. So those are the three things I always tell our CNA cohorts. All right, if there's no questions about that, I'm going to move into the application process. So for our application process, you just go to our website. So it's careeredgefunders.org/bridges to careers. And if there's an open application, it'll be right there at the beginning. It'll be a big orange button. It'll say apply here. You go through the application. It's very simple. Who are you? Where do you live? Where are you working? If you're working now, those types of things. And do you agree to, are you eligible, right? That's one of the biggest things. So to be eligible for our programs, because we are a program of the Greater Sarasota Chamber, and the Greater Sarasota Chamber's footprint is Sarasota and Manatee County. You have to be a Sarasota or Manatee County resident. Sometimes we get some applicants from Tampa, sometimes down in Port Charlotte, and you got to be Sarasota or Manatee. Sorry, but that's just the footprint. Other prerequisites are also determined by the education provider. So the most common ones are to be able to read, write, and speak in English, because our instructors, or their instructors for that matter, are teaching and speaking and assigning things in English. We're working on developing an ESOL program and what that would look like, and trying to find some individuals to teach that, but it's just in the works right now. Unfortunately, I don't have anything set up yet. So right now it's English only. Some of the programs require a GED or high school diploma, and some also require the level 2 background check and drug screening. That's the CNA for sure. And then if it's like an HVAC technician or automotive technician fast track, those would require clean driving records just for insurance purposes. There are no income eligibility requirements. So if you already have a pretty good job, but you're just kind of looking to see what else is out there, Doesn't matter. Anyone can apply, anyone can be accepted. So those are some of the eligibility criteria. You'll complete and submit your application. Once you do that, and it shouldn't take you longer than 5-10 minutes. It's very simple and to the point. Then you will be emailed an assessment. So we use a third-party website called Criteria. They're a world-class website in terms of and software program for these assessments. It's almost like a personality profile and a test. It'll test your general aptitude, just simple things. And that's just so we have a little bit of data on are you going to be a good fit for this type of career? Well, if you don't like taking care of other people, then CNA might not be, the best career path for you. And so we try to make sure that we create good matches that are going to be lifelong or for long term, not just for short term purposes. After you take those assessments, you will be emailed a link to set up an interview appointment. It's just kind of it's on a phone, just a simple phone interview, kind of just a conversation. It'll be with me, and I'll be asking you questions like, well, tell me about yourself. Why do you want to be in this career? Tell me about your work history. And I'm just getting a sense for who you are as a person. What are your motivations? And are you going to be a good match for this type of program? What kind of barriers might you have? And just talk through those with you. It's a get to know you. And so basically, based off the assessments and the interview, and kind of look at our pool of individuals and candidates, and then we kind of pick and choose because we do have limited spots. And for the CNA program specifically, there's only 15 slots for the one at Suncoast Technical. That's set by the Florida Board of Nursing. You can only have that many individuals go through clinicals with one instructor. And so there's nothing we can do about trying to accept more people or less people. That's out of our, out of our reach, out of our influence, if you will. And then the Meridian West Central, there are 12 slots in the morning and 12 opportunities in the PM cohort. So typically we see about, depending on the program, we've seen upwards of 70 applicants. This year, I would say both had more than 50. So it can be quite competitive, but at the same time, I don't want to discourage you, apply because you will be surprised. And then once you get approved, you'll get a participation agreement, which just says that you're, willing to try, you're willing to commit, you're going to talk with me, kind of check-ins with me every once in a while, see how things are going, and, those types of things. It's all common sense, be respectful, be on time, if you're going to participate, be there, be open-minded, be willing to learn, that type of thing. Questions? How are we doing? We got a couple questions?
Yes. So one of the questions is, will this program be available as a second chance opportunity for people coming out of jail?
That's a good question. We have had individuals go through some of our fast tracks that were second chance. For the CNAs, I'm not sure. I think it would depend on the background and the situation because it's, that level 2 clearance and background check, that will be better kind of answered by the education provider and what they're looking for and what's available. But you wouldn't be turned away from applying. You wouldn't be not accepted based on that one thing. So I would say to try and apply. Other questions?
So the second question we have is, if they have a bachelor's degree, are they still eligible to apply for the CNA program?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had individuals go through our programs that have master's degrees. It makes no difference about your background. It's all about where do you want to go from this day forward. So nothing kind of precludes you from it's anyone, as long as you live in Sarasota and Manatee County, you can be accepted into our programs. Good questions. Good questions. Keep them coming. I don't want to just talk the whole time.
So while we're waiting for a few more questions to populate, is there an age requirement if they graduated high school early, let's say? Is there a minimum age?
We have had individuals as young as 17 go through our programs. 2 years ago in 2023, we actually hosted a fast track program for high school seniors. So no, there's no age requirement unless it's set by the school itself. Other questions? All right. If there's no other questions about the application process, like I said, we try to mainstream it, keep it simple, and yeah, looking forward to seeing your applications come through and getting to know you as you apply. So some job placement assistance and career preparation that we provide. This is our cohort from Suncoast Technical this year, but we host for all of our fast tracks an invitation-only employer event. So that means only the students that are in our fast track and only the employers that are chamber member businesses that we invite to come to the employer event. So it's a meet and greet, basically like your own closed door career fair. And so you get to meet with a lot of great companies that are hiring. They're hiring specifically for the skills and the training that you've just received. They're going to want to get to know you. They're going to want to see your resume. They're going to want to talk to you and see if you'd be a good fit. You're going to want to see what your aspirations are and those types of things. So that's a great opportunity. We also bring in a third-party consultant. Her name is Dr. Ross. She's fantastic, and she does 2 days of career and life skills. So even though some of these things are common sense, others are new ideas, and others are just reinforcing good practice. So talking about professional attitudes and customer service, regardless of what pathway you go into, you're providing some sort of service. And so, what are some best practices there, and how do you keep those professional attitudes and build up your customer base and things like that, and your own reputation. And then on the second day, she talks more about conflict resolution, dealing with change, stress management, just a lot of great information. She goes through plenty of examples. She's got lots of different materials. She has some thoughtful questions that kind of provoke you to be thinking about how you would handle different situations, a little bit of role playing. So she does like practice interviews. So you interview one of your peers and you're the interviewer. So resume tips. I'll review your resume if you send it to me, give you some feedback on it where you could maybe change some wording or add some things of value that apply to the job that you're applying for. So we provide all that for free. That's all just within our program. And it's a great value, and we're excited and happy to do that. Questions on this part? One of the stories of one of the students from our last cohort, she was working as a waitress right across the street from the hospital. And, she would often have nurses come in and talk to her. She'd be waiting on them. And she would say, oh, I've always wanted to work in a hospital. Well, she found out about our program through one of those individuals. She applied for it, she got it, and now she works at the hospital. She went from being a waitress right across the street to working in the hospital, and it's been life-changing for her. Some of these programs are life-changing opportunities. I can't stress that enough. I'm happy to be so involved with it. And yeah. So speaking of the hospital, they are a great employer partner of ours. So I'm going to give them a little bit of a plug here. We give them some grant funding for their own training. The training is, again, provided through Suncoast Technical College, and we fund that for these individuals that already work at the hospital that want to become a CNA and continue on their career path. So these individuals might be working in a different capacity at the hospital. So if you're looking to maybe get paid during the training and this is the path you want to go towards, I would look for a job at the hospital, because then you could apply and let them know that you want to be involved in this program. And they could then, if you show up on time and you meet kind of their expectations and their standards, then you can be selected to be in the program, and you can be paid by your employer, SMH, while you go through the CNA training. So that's an even better opportunity. Not to say ours isn't great, but it's one more opportunity out there. If you're looking for, you could go work, they've got plenty of restaurants and food service or janitorial or other positions available at the hospital. You work there for 6 months, I believe, and then you could be eligible for these training programs. And it's the same instructor. It's through Suncoast Technical College. It happens right there at your place of work. So if you're interested in the CNA pathway and you want to get started right away, or you got some time, 6 months to work at the hospital and then take that jump, I would encourage you to explore that opportunity as well. And if you want to email me, I can connect you with one of the recruiters over there, and we can go from there. So talking about the career kind of progression of this pathway. So for that specific hospital, right, you could start as a patient safety attendant. So you're responsible for observing patients, making sure that they're safe, and that just requires a high school diploma or GED is not required. Once you get to that CNA PCT, that's a patient care technician path, and then you need those credentials, you need that training, and that's can be accomplished within a few months, like 2 to 3 months, depending on which program you go through. Once you become skilled in that area, they'll add on additional skills and additional kind of tasks and responsibilities within the hospital. So that would bring you to kind of that multi-skilled technician, MST pathway. From there, and a lot of employers actually offer some incentives and help you with additional funding and additional training and scholarships, and will contribute to your education. You can go back to school, like I said, 12 to 18 months, depending on your program, and become an LPN. And if you're really passionate about it, and you want to continue with that learning, you can go on that RN pathway and keep going, get an ASN or a bachelor's degree, and that's kind of a career pathway. I mean, nursing is such a great example because you've got these tiered steps, you're adding your knowledge, your experience, and you're moving up along the way. Any questions on that SMH aspect? Again, I'm just trying to provide opportunities, inform of some of the things that are out there locally. Speaking of local industry, so what are the number of jobs in our area for this type of profession, and what are the wages? So this is kind of a snapshot of certified nursing assistants. This comes from Lightcast. Lightcast.io is a software program that they take all the job postings and they kind of synthesize them, summarize them, bring them down, and filter out and bring out the data in a useful way. So you've got your pathway here: nursing assistants, LPNs or LVNs, and then registered nurses. How many jobs are there in Sarasota, Manatee County? Well, there they are. So for every 1,000 jobs in our region, 11 of them are nursing assistants, 5.5 almost are LPN, and there's 22, 23 registered nurses. In 2022, you can see the median hourly wage and annual wage for each of these positions. So it was about $16 in 2022, making $33,000 a year. That's as a certified nursing assistant. LPNs are making $24,000 and $50,000 a year, and RNs are making almost $40,000, making $80,000 a year. You can see the update from 2023 that the nursing assistants pay rate has gotten a pay bump in the last year, as well as LPNs. It seems like the registered nurses, I think that's because a lot of new registered nurses kind of have come into the market, and so that median wage has actually dropped a little bit. That's just because there's more new registered nurses that aren't making as much as those experienced registered nurses. But a very good pathway for you if you're going to commit to some education. You're going to get pay bumps along the way, and significant ones. So could be life changing. Like I said, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into some of the local industry overview. Again, this is all from Lightcast. This was Q1 of 2024, so it's a little dated, 6 months, 8 months, but that's okay. You can see this graph shows the amount of employment over the course of the last 20 years, and then kind of projected for the next 8 years. Northport, Sarasota, Bradenton area, in terms of the number of CNAs, and then versus the national average. And so they've kind of projected, we used to have a lot more. You can see the dip during COVID here, where a lot of people were trying to get out of the industry, but generally it's kind of plateaued a little bit, and it's holding steady at this, at least within this projection. And again, if you got any questions about any of the data, I know you have this, so you can look back at the data. I'm going to go through it quick just for timing purposes. So here's the executive summary. There's aggressive hiring over a lot of competition, a lot of talent in the area, right? So there's 3,500 jobs. There's that average compensation, and there's 80 different job postings every month, right? Compared to the national average, there's only 63 in an area of our size. So, this is a high demand industry, high demand skill set, high demand career and occupation in our area. So where are individuals working? Well, here's a breakdown. It's about a quarter at the surgical and medical hospitals. A quarter of CNAs are working in nursing skilled facilities, and a quarter are kind of working in continued care retirement communities. These are more independent living communities. They're not going to need as much like skilled care. So those individuals just, they come and go. They might need a nurse every once in a while, but not long term. Whereas these skilled facilities, these are people that are more dependent. They're going to need that continued care on a day-to-day basis. You can also do kind of private care, home health care services, and there are agencies for that. We've got some of them here, and a lot of people, some individuals choose that pathway as well. There's lots of different variety, and excuse me for not mentioning this earlier, but through both of our programs, a requirement is 40 hours of clinical work. So those clinical hours, you're actually going into either the hospital or a nursing care facility, sometimes a continued retirement care community, and those are partner organizations with the education provider, and you're getting hands-on experience, at least 40 hours. So you will work for 40 hours at one of these places or some of these places. We try to like mix it up, and the education providers try to have a variety just to broaden your exposure. And, it's very thoughtful, and, you meet with an experienced nurse or somebody who's kind of your preceptor. They talk through the program with you, talk through the daily, kind of the day-to-day. You really get a sense for it through both of our programs. So sorry I didn't mention that earlier, but that is another great benefit. So you can see this is a demand. So there's 153 employers. They're all competing for, this is 1,000 different unique job postings. This is over a 28-day period at the beginning of 2024. So average monthly hires to almost 300 in February of 23 to January of 24, and 80 different postings. So again, high demand field. There's job opportunities out there. You just got to get the skills to do it. Who are the companies and what are the job titles? Universal Health, Sarasota Memorial, Manatee Memorial, Empath Health, and HCA, that's Doctors Hospital. These are their postings. They're mostly looking for CNAs, patient care technicians, and certified nursing assistants in home care, med techs. So these are the top job postings. What are the skills? You can see CNA, nursing, taking vital signs, basic life support certification, activities of daily life, helping people get up, get changed, get dressed, cook for themselves, clean for themselves, those types of things. Go into the bathroom, personal care, all of those. That's a little bit dated, but if you are making $20 an hour as a CNA, when this data was captured, you would be making more than 94% of all other CNAs. So the tap out range, most are making $17 an hour. Some are making much less. If you're making $20 an hour, you're making more than most. You're in the top 10%, almost top 5%. And excuse my rough segue here, but so how does nursing assistant compare to some of those other industries and fast tracks that we provide? So I've kept the data for nursing assistants and LPNs or LVNs. This is actually taken from the Bureau of Workforce Statistics and Economic Research. So this is a projection over the next 8 years. So here's how many jobs there are now. You can see nursing assistants here. We've got plumbers, heating, air conditioning, and refrigeration, HVAC positions, and then the LPN or LVN positions. So here's our projection right now, or at least in 2023, so a year ago. And here's the projection for the future in 2031, how many jobs there will be. So you can see the percent growth, and then you've got your growth, your exits, and your transfers, and then the total amount of jobs. So growths are just from that kind of opportunity growing in the area. Exit data represents people leaving the workforce in that job, and transfers represent people moving out of that occupation. Like I said, growth represents new job opportunities. So altogether, when you take in the growth, the exits, the transfers, there's going to be like 5,000 open positions for CNAs in the next 8 years. Or for plumbers, about 1,600. For HVAC technicians, 1,400. And that's just our local area, Sarasota, Manatee. And for LPNs, like 1,300. And you can also see those 22 median hourly wage statistics as well. So if you're not into the whole nursing thing, sorry, but we have other opportunities as well. If you want more hands-on, I'm going to go through that next, and that's going to be our fast track with American Vocational Academy, and they're going to offer a plumbing fast track as well as an HVAC fast track. So this is our program that's set up for January. It's going to start January 17th. It's in a 3-month program. You graduate in April, and their classes meet 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. 4 days a week. That's Tuesday through Friday. So like I said, it's 3 months, 240 hours. It is at American Vocational Academy. They are partners with Tri-County Air, and they like rent out some space with Tri-County Air. So right there, you're already meeting an employer in the industry. They partner with CareerSource Suncoast as well as CareerEdge for funding purposes. You can go through either pathway, and they're both good pathways. What are you going to get? You're going to get EPA certification, so that's for refrigerants, and a certification for heat pump AC repair and install. And if you're more hands-on, we have had lots of ladies come through the program and be successful. So if you're more hands-on, you'd rather kind of troubleshoot machines and that's your thing, then this is an opportunity for you. There's good money and lots of opportunity in the area. So I've stolen some of my friends at American Vocational Academy, some of their presentation. They're a phenomenal group and family. I encourage you to check out their website here and their Facebook page here. Jeff is the main instructor, Anton is another instructor, and Q is another instructor. They're just phenomenal individuals. I just can't thank them enough for their partnership. We were looking for a HVAC trainer, and we had like a council meeting. We didn't have one. Some of the technical schools had lost their trainers, so we were looking for one. And then all of a sudden, Jeff just walked in the door. He said, "Hey, I want to bring my school to the chamber. I want to be a chamber member, and I'm an HVAC and plumbing instructor." It's just like he fell out of the sky. And since then, that was last year, we've built a great program. We've had 12 individuals go through it. This is one of my personal favorites. As a former student of mine, I told you I was an education, middle school teacher for like 10 years. This person, his name is Josh. He came through our program. He was my 8th grade science student, and he applied. He was like, "Mr. Gollenbeck?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's me, Josh. What are you doing?" Anyway, so he graduated, took a year off, didn't know what he wanted to do, came through our program. Here he is after graduation. He's driving his own cool Today truck. He's got a career path from just out of the blue. I mean, it's success, right? And they do such a great job. I'm going to talk about their program right now and what you'll learn. It's a course overview. It's based on your coursework, your employability skills, and then 50% is lab work and hands-on work. You've got what are you going to be learning? So this is going to be 4 weeks of electrical, 4 weeks of the refrigeration cycle, and 4 weeks of air measurements. And so kind of break those down, a month of each, and there's hands-on practice almost the entire time. You're building electrical boards, you're troubleshooting machines, you're building your own machines. Like I said, he also does a fantastic job of bringing in guest speakers. He's super knowledgeable and personable himself, really cares about his students. His whole staff does. And they talk about those employability skills. They'll have you take personal assessments. You'll reflect. You'll think about your leadership training. How are you going to develop? How can you be even better? They'll teach you financial management. They'll teach you time management. I can't say enough about their program. I'm so happy to be partnered with them. Here's some more Lightcast data for HVAC technicians in our area. Again, Q1 2024. So 130 different employers, 430 jobs. So here's a 30-day median, and you can see the average number of posts. People are getting hired like hotcakes, right? There's jobs out there in this market, and everybody needs an AC living down here in Florida. So what are some of the skills they're looking for? Plumbing, preventative maintenance. You got to know how to use tools. Carpentry is a bonus. Electrical wiring is a definite. So those are necessary for the job. If you're making $18 an hour as an HVAC technician, and that's more than 33%. So there's a lot more area for growth in terms of how much hourly you can make in this role. when you compare it to the entry-level CNA position, but it's somewhere in between LPN and a CNA. So I bring that up just so you can make informed decisions about what pathway you want to go on. I would also add that through AVA, they do kind of ride-alongs, so you'll get to be partnered up with, a senior technician, go on a day, kind of like some job shadowing. So experiential learning, again, is best practice. So I need to mention that. So for CareerEdge, our impact began in 2010. I joined in 2022. But through our partners and our own funding, we've contributed more than 17 million to the local economy. We've trained over 7,000 workers, earning almost 10,000 certificates. Almost 5,000 people have earned raises. We're engaging hundreds of employers. And we just passed $40 million in cumulative annual earning gains. So people that go through our program, we track, hey, how much were you making at the beginning before you took our program? And how much are you making after our program? We track that. And that's the 40 million. So for 17 million, we've the outcome of that is $40 million worth of local money for individuals in the community, either through our employer grants, through our fast tracks, or any of our programs. Next steps. I can't tell you enough. These are life-changing programs. I'm so excited to meet you, to get to know you. Apply once our applications go live. Look for them in November and December for the different programs, whatever you're interested in. If you have questions, I'm still available right now. If anyone's got any burning questions.
So there is a question that says, for all applications that you're accepting, are you accepting high school diplomas from other countries? If so, what level of English is required? Are you guys testing for English essentially to see if they're on that scale?
Yeah, great questions. We do accept foreign, other than the U.S. High school diplomas and GEDs. And for the kind of language proficiency, we do, I mentioned in the application process, the assessment aspect, and we have an assessment that aligns with the different levels of ESOL and English as a second language, and it doesn't preclude you from joining. We've had one of our students, CNA students, she was very strong at reading and understanding English, listening to English, but she wasn't really confident. She was still developing her skills in how she could speak. So we just had her take the test. I talked with her a little bit, and she went through the program and did just fine. So it doesn't preclude you from being one of our participants. I would encourage you to apply. I mean, there's a phone interview, and if you'd rather have an in-person interview, that's fine. You can just let me know. But yeah, no, I would still apply, and we can kind of go through that pathway, and I'm familiar with it. And yeah, still apply if you're interested in either any of our programs. Good question. Okay, if anyone thinks of any other questions, you can see my name, my title, my email address, the phone number here at my office. Feel free to call me, email me anytime. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I really hope that you consider our training programs. They can be transformational. I just told you a couple stories. There's probably 40 or 50 more. So I want to know your story, and hopefully you can reach out and be one of our participants.
All right, perfect. So I want to thank you, Kevin, for being here today and presenting for our Career Connection. And again, guys, before you guys get logged off, do stay on. There will be a brief survey that pops up on the end of your screen. If you would answer some of those questions, it really helps us plan for future programmatics as well as our webinars. So thank you, everybody, for joining today's Career Connection. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.